Hi, it's Global Politics with Jim Martin. Today I wanted to talk about the current condition of the United States national security apparatus. As we know, there have been numerous dismissals, firings, offers of retirement under DOGE and the Trump administration writ large that have essentially culled the top managerial levels and the secondary set of managers beneath those folks across the intelligence apparatus of the United States. Now, the national security apparatus and the institutions of the United States there's a myriad of them, and they all, since 2001-ish, have been coordinated in a manner that is designed to funnel intelligence and avoid log jams, stovepiping, things like that, that would prevent insights from raising up to the level where decision makers can pay attention to it and act on it and give direction below. Positions like the Director of Homeland Security, currently Kristi Noem, the Director of National Intelligence, currently Tulsi Gabbard, serve this sort of function in a coordination way, a gathering point function to bring intelligence up to the level where the executive branch and others notice it. What has happened in the past generally is that folks who have military experience, intelligence experience of some sort, have filled those senior roles. Currently, there are very few people in the Trump administration in that structure that have served in a actionable intelligence role or in any sort of substantive way. Kristi Noem being an example, been a governor. Did she, as the governor of South Dakota, have some sort of notifications about intelligence? Yes, in a sense, for her own state, perhaps inklings of other things. Not someone who has served in a formal national intelligence role. Tulsi Gabbard is another person who has this connection to that in a way, in that, yes, she was a serving military officer. Yes, she had a security clearance. She also was a member of the House of Representatives and served on those committees and things, but not somebody from that world, so to speak. The other folks that Kash Patel is an example, briefly served as a lawyer with DOJ on counterterrorism things, not in a functional analytical role or action role, not as an FBI agent, not part of a counterterrorism operation, so to speak. I think the DEA is the only person who is a career DEA person that fits into that framework. Furthermore, what we see is that most of the people that are in these roles now are political operatives. Almost none of them have any kind of experience in managing operations for any organization. Good example, Pete Hegseth, not in charge of anything. He was a major, but as a comms person, not in charge of anything. Just on the surface of it is dangerous because a lack of familiarity with the agencies that they are managing creates bad vibes for those career civil servants in many cases, career military people and others. One of the things that has also happened, and I lump these into the intelligence apparatus because kinetic operations often reveal intelligence. Chair of the Joint Chiefs of Staff was removed. Chief of Naval Operations was removed. The Vice Chief of the Air Force was removed. The Coast Guard Commandant was removed. The Vice Admiral in charge of NATO Military Command was removed. I can go on and on about these folks that have been fired, dismissed, etc. by the Trump administration at those sorts of levels, general up in the military structure. Now, all of these things are legally within the purview of the President of the United States. However, it's rare to see this sort of depth of turnover. It always happens at the top, and that's completely normal and fully expected. However, when you see these kinds of changes happening, not only there, but at the staff level beneath that, and then below that, where you are calling out senior managerial staff and managerial folks, it really points kind of a difficult picture. I've got this graphic up, a rough idea of what that might look like in an organizational sense for a single intelligence agency and its reporting functions. When these people are political operatives and not independent of their boss and the structure above that in terms of the executive branch, then politics interferes with the collection, analytical tasking, and the dissemination of that and the characterization of that intelligence. And does anybody remember the WMD situation in Iraq, where various intel was filtered up, interpreted in particular ways that ran contrary to what the analysts and the senior managerial folks suggested about it, and led to this wild goose chase for weapons of mass destruction that simply didn't exist? That's just one example. And this is a characteristic that is completely spread throughout all of these intelligence agencies under the Trump administration. And this rapid disruption of these operations and flows of information and managerial tasks, just day-to-day management of these huge agencies that protect the national security interests of the United States, is extremely concerning. I have a colleague that we talked about this. This is all discussed in Project 2025, by the way, of their desire to replace apolitical folks, to replace these folks with political operatives. They believe that that would align their missions with the desire of the presidency to execute tasks. They've wiped out the institutional knowledge from the senior managerial and middle manager level at all of these agencies. So exactly how to properly get these things done is not something that anybody that has been placed in those positions is going to know how to do. So they're going to try to run roughshod over people, or they're simply not going to do anything at all. And I would suggest that the latter is probably more likely, because this is a very vertically integrated top-down kind of system, in that if Trump or somebody very, very, very senior doesn't say that this is okay to do, it's unlikely that anybody's going to take any chances lest they become the next casualty of this approach. This exposes the United States to a number of dangers, and I've talked about this in other videos too, but I'll just reiterate them. There are plenty of adversaries around the world, countries and non-state actors such as terrorist groups, who are watching this and they're aware of it and they see it. They may be acting on it. Certainly, even at the most mundane level of intelligence gathering, people in the Kremlin, people in the Chinese Military Intelligence Command that have these structured, systematic intelligence agencies, it's like Christmas to them to have these folks in there, because they're unaware of how to properly protect secrets, communications, and we've seen this, evidence of it with the signal chat at DOD, but beyond that, these kinds of things could be happening throughout these other intelligence gathering agencies like the NSA, National Reconnaissance Office, DIA, etc., etc. This is a very dangerous time in the United States. Who's minding the store? Exactly how they might execute something if they needed to protect the national security of the United States. Difficult situation. Times are not great. This is another example of why institutions and bureaucracies, as much as we don't like them, really do protect us in a lot of ways. I look forward to any comments that people have. As I always say, I don't know everything. I have studied these issues in particular quite a bit over my career. Your context is welcome in the comments. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'd really like to grow my channel, and I hope that what I'm sharing is interesting, intriguing to y'all, and helps you to keep up with the day-to-day flow of what's going on. Hope you're having a great day and look forward to talking to you again very soon.